So what are we going to be doing today? Today, the base will be different. It's a little more of a complex technique which is being used for the base. And this look is perfect if you don't want your skin to look too cakey. You don't want too much makeup upon your skin. You want it to be a little more on the dewier type of a base, with also the cream contouring and the cream highlighting. So you will have the entire contrast and that sculpted effect on your skin. There are a lot of good pomades now in the market. You can just go to any app and you can just look it down and you will basically be able to find. So the similar brush to what you all have, you can use the spoolie. First, start by brushing all the eyebrow hair. Next, you will take the pomade and take it on the brush, and we're going to start by filling in the eyebrow. We're going to keep it a little more on the natural looking side, and this is perfect for any bridal eyebrow look. Don't draw in, rather just make small strokes and start to fill your eyebrows in. We're anyways going to clean the edges, so it's okay if it goes out a little bit here and there, but do your best to kind of keep it inside the eyebrows. And you can take any flat brush, a flat concealer brush, or you can just go ahead with the same eyebrow brush of yours to clean under the eyebrows. So take a little bit of it and we're going to clean under the eyebrows. It should be a sharp, neat line, and there should not be concealer getting stuck in the eyebrow hair. So it has to be exactly under it, and make sure that it goes completely outwards on this side as well as on that side. So we're going to kind of draw it all the way outwards. And once you're done tracing the shape, you can just pull it slightly downwards to blend it into the skin. So define the arch really well and try to make the arch look the same on both these eyebrows. So a lot of times people do not have eyebrows which look the same. So you can just kind of tweak it and you can make it look a little more symmetrical. So you can just take your foundation brush and you can just blend that color a little more into the skin. Okay, next step will be to set the eyebrows. So I told you this is more of a bridal look, right? So bridal looks, again, there's a lot of sweat, there's a lot of dancing, everything going on. So you don't want the eyebrows to kind of wash off, right? So you have to set it in place. So we're going to use something like an eyebrow gel. This is the Wet n Wild Mega Clear Brow Mascara. So it's just a clear gel and you can just set your eyebrow in place. So what this also does is that it gives you a feathered effect with your eyebrows. So what do we do usually is that we just lay it flat, just the shape of the eyebrow, right? So today we're going to kind of lift it slightly upwards in a vertical manner. So it kind of stands this way, which just makes it look a lot more defined, a lot more neater. And this is called as a feathered eyebrow technique. So once it dries, it kind of sits really well, kind of like a hairspray for hair. That's basically what I'm doing. So we just comb here. And next, we obviously will have to conceal. So again, you can just use a liquid concealer or you can use Supra for doing this. Avoid Derma because Derma is way too thick of a product. Second rule, don't dot on your face. When you dot, you're going to use actually way too much product. So kind of you can take it on the back of your hand or you can take it on a makeup plate, up to you. And then we can just start to go ahead with a tiny bit of concealer. So you can use a small brush and you can start to press the concealer on those areas wherever you have corrected. So we can just take a tiny bit of it. You don't need a lot. You just need probably just that much. And to apply your the eyeshadow base, right, use a fluffy brush. Why? Because you have wrinkles on your lid. And when you have wrinkles and if you use a flat brush, it is just going to kind of get stuck and all those wrinkled area, there will not be any eyeshadow base on it. So you can just use a fluffy brush and go with a thin layer of product on the lid area. So make sure that you take it even towards the sides because today the look is going to be like an elongated Smokey here, right? We're going to do something more feline looking, a little more of a cat eye effect. So you have to pull it towards the sides too. And blend that, kind of pat it into the concealer over here too. Yeah, so we start with the kohl pencil and take the kohl and first start with the lower lash line. You all know, just tight line. And we're slightly going even outside as I'm doing this. It has to be thicker outside and very thin towards the inner area. you need to smudge even this inner area over here without making this area too dirty. So it's kind of a balance what you have to go ahead with. You can also use something like a much more smaller brush, like how you have the flat brush. You can also use the flat brush and slightly smudge this area out too. Okay. Now, as you do this, you can pull this out slightly. Continue the same line and slightly pull it out over here. Okay, so it is tilted, it is not horizontal, it is going upwards. Okay, after this, we'll just elongate this also out a tiny bit like this. Make sure the angle is pretty much the same on both the eyes. You can slightly tweak it later, but you can't make crazy changes. So make sure that at least there is some kind of similarity between both. Next, the powder trick. So you will take a tiny bit of powder on the puff, and just below this, you can keep it like this at an angle. So when you have powder there, you know automatically that that should be the shape, similar to how you use a tape, except that you're using powder. So you won't get a sharp line on that place. Okay. Now, after this, we will start with the eyeshadow part of it. So eyeshadow part is pretty easy. You just have to take your kohl pencil, remove all these kind of creasing, and as we go along, it will blend. So go along the lash line. Take your brush and start to blend the edges of the kohl. Slightly pull this out. Be careful, it should remain sharp. It should not start looking blunt. So you have to kind of be very careful and you have to blend this area. You can use your pencil brush for doing this. So that will give you that elongated kind of a shape, and it's also not gone below the powder. So you have that angle which comes along with the look. Okay, so this is basically like a feline smoky liner kind of an effect. Now, next, after this, we're going to start with a couple of eyeshadows to, blend that further into the skin. If you want, you can deepen your crease and you can deepen your outer corner. So you can just take, like at this point, you can just stop. You can just put shimmer on the lid and you can finish off the look with your clients. So just be like a smoky feline liner and a lot of shimmer on the lid. Like you can go with a very light, pale shimmer, like captivating across the entire look. That look fabulous too. But let's say you want to make it a little more smokier, then you can just take a little bit of black eyeshadow and start going in the outer corner. Outer corner is literally inside the eye. So we're just going to apply it in this place. Now remember that when you're doing this area and that wing should be connected over here. So when you open your eye, it looks like a curve in this place. It's a curve over here. It's not a straight line. It's not connected up over here, but it's a little bit curved in this area. So once you get that shape, connect this more into the lower lash line. Clean the brush, or you can just start to blend out the edges. So we're going to continue the same brown in the crease. We can deepen it with black later, but for now, let's just do brown and let's see whether we have the, the necessary depth, and we can add later if needed. Yeah. Okay. If you want, if you feel it's not blending, go with a little bit of eyeshadow on that edge of the kajal and it will automatically look more blended. So add some more on the other eye. I'm taking it all the way till the crease, basically the area where we apply a shimmer, and I'm applying a tiny bit along the crease also. That way when you blend, it looks like there's a good amount of depth even in the crease. Okay, so next comes the step where we start with the lower lash line. If it becomes a little dirty, you can just go back with a tiny bit of concealer and dab. And you have to blend out the edge over here. Okay. So that bit of the line is looking better. Once that is done, you can just use your powder brush and you can tap off the extra powder. So you will get a sharp, not sharp line, but I mean, it looks sharp, but it is not sharp. It's just like a blended out, a neater smoky eye. And then we're going to start with a tiny bit of black and apply it on the kohl and the lower lash. Fluffy brush and blend out the lower lash line a bit more. We're going to use the Kryolan multi gel, which is like a glue for it to stick upon. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit of multi-gel. So take a tiny bit of the glue and you can pat it on the eye first. Do it only on the inner two-third of the eye. So you can just pat that. Apply very few specks at the edges so it looks a little more blended and not too strong and very it should not look very obvious. It should look more blended at the edges. I'm just applying a little bit of corrector on the areas wherever I have a bit of acne going on. So we're gonna take a tiny bit of the liquid concealer and start to conceal the forehead area. So the forehead is a lot more one tone, it doesn't look like two tones now. I have a little bit of foundation on my mixing plate, so we will use that, and I'm gonna go in the centers of my face. So we're gonna use something, just using one shade lighter. Next we will do the sides with a darker tone of foundation. For that I'm using the Milani foundation. This is a dewy kind of a foundation, so it look wet on the skin. So I'm just gonna use this Milani foundation, one shade darker than my skin. I'm gonna take a little more foundation. And we will take some NG1. I'm gonna put the foundation with NG1 and mix it. So we're gonna go down the neck now with the darker shade. So we're gonna stipple a bit of the stroke cream on the cheek. So you can use any product, you can use any concealer. I'm using liquid because it will keep that area a lot more lightweight. So I'm using a 2-shade lighter concealer. This is from Swiss Beauty. It's 2 shades lighter to my skin. So we'll just do a tiny bit here and a little bit in the chin. And we're gonna start to pat that in. So you saw I used very, very, very less, and you can pull whatever was there outwards too. Take a bit of contour and let's start adding a little more dimension on the sides of the face. After this, you can go ahead with a bit of blush. You can use literally any blush you want. You can do powder or you can do cream. I am doing cream today. This is from Just Herbs. This is a Just Herbs lip and cheek tint. So you can just take a bit of blush. Why cream blush instead of other colors? So that it all looks reflective. It does not look matte on the center of the face because you're doing a UV base, right? So you can just apply a bit of that and pat it in. So even the blush will have a bit of color which bounces off. It will not look too flat. Okay, so highlighter, and you can just pat it in. Again, don't blend because you have a lot of products underneath. So just kind of pat it in on your skin. Okay, next, after that, you can go ahead with mascara and lashes and all that. So we'll start with mascara. So what you can do for the lip is start with a mid-toned color. Don't start with something too light. Rather, start with something which is mid-tone. So I'm using this lipstick from Lakme Absolute Plush Matte Lip Crayon in Peach Fizz. So a darker shade of lipstick in the sides here. So never apply gloss on the entire lip. It looks like you're kind of drooling at that point of time. So use a little bit only in the centers